So Air is basically a hour and a half long Walking Dead episode, and it's a fitting title because this movie has no substance at all. And I know what you're probably thinking, Gage, what do you know? Or what are you, some expert, some Walking Deadologist? Well, sir, I will have you know that I have watched every season of The Walking Dead since the show premiered, plus all the spin offs, including that one that takes place in a submarine. So, yeah, I think I know what I'm talking about. Okay. Anyway, you pretty much could have slapped the word dead on the title and added some chemical zombies, and this pretty much would have been the same movie or two-piece Walking Dead limited series special. So after years of chemical warfare, pretty much the entire planet is in a desolation. The air on the surface is completely unbreathable. So they have this government program where they get these scientists and put them underground, and they have to wait till the air's toxicity level goes down on the surface before they can leave. The story centers around Norman Reedus and Cartwright, and Cartwright's character doesn't make any sense. He's haunted by his wife's ghost, and he constantly flip flops on doing things because she's driving him crazy, apparently. And this wasn't that bad of a story element, but it was just done awfully, and just it was so cheesy. The script is lackluster, the movie drags on forever, not much happens. While the plot is like nicely structured and everything, it's just boring. It doesn't take any risks. All the things that happen are really predictable, and you're just sitting there wondering why, when there were so many opportunities to throw a curveball or do something different. It really just feels like Robert Kirkman was just in the writing room breathing down the writer's neck, and just seems like he had a really heavy hand in making all this, especially with Norman Reedus' involvement. It was like the cost for getting Norman Reedus involved. But that's just a guess. What do I know? Let's just talk about the movie. So Norman Reedus wakes up from cryo sleep with his partner Cartwright, and they are basically these maintenance guys that fix this facility, which is an underground bunker that kind of looks like a Fallout 3 vault. And they have to just repair it every 6 months. They're awake for 2 hours. There's a timer because there's limited oxygen. So they're doing that. They get done with all their work. Cartwright talks to his dead wife. Then they kind of just hang out. They watch this old baseball game. They're playing chess. Cartwright blunders a knight like a goddamn fool. They look at the toxicity gauge for oxygen. It's still in the red. It's always been in the red. They check in with the other bunkers. All the bunkers say they're still active, so everyone's still alive. And then apparently there's some seismic activity, some earthquakes that, of course, affect the underground stability of the bunkers, and this leads to a pod lighting on fire, basically, after Cartwright's wife is whispering sweet nothings into his ear. So then the little plastic bag tube thing, they need to find a spare, so they look for it, they eventually find it. Then they try and use it again. They check the diagnostics. Norman Reedus is like, here, I'll try it if you're scared, because Cartwright is worried about using a new one. And so he tries it. Then he gets like suffocated by the thing. Cartwright just walks out of the room because he's got to turn an air wheel or something, and just leaves him in there. And Norman Reedus is like freaking out. He's like, wait, why are you walking away? Let me out of this before you walk away. So he walks away. Norman Reedus almost suffocates in the thing. And after that happens for like 30 seconds. Cartwright comes back with a box cutter and slits a hole in the mouth, and he can breathe again and saves his life. But Norman Reedus gets all pissed. He's like, "What the fuck? Why would you leave me in there? Where were you?" And all this shit. Now they need a new tube because they just slid a box cutter through it, and they only have a limited amount of time before the oxygen runs out. But before they talk about that, there's some serious consideration about just killing one of the scientists by Norman Reedus, and he almost convinces Cartwright to do so, but his wife convinces him otherwise. It's really strange and hypocritical ghost, pretty much, for reasons you'll learn later. But so they basically end up not killing someone and trying to go to another bunker and get the spare tube part for their cryo sleep. So Cartwright does that in like this weird looking hazmat suit. He has to like crawl through these air ducts that are really closed in, and he's got like claustrophobia, and he eventually gets there. You really wonder like what is he going to find, but it just turns out that all the people in that bunker, they're dead. Everyone's dead. He kind of sees the surface, and it's just like a godforsaken wasteland, pretty much, and everyone's dead, and that's it. Like, that's one of the big twists. Everyone's dead, pretty much. And while this is happening, Norman Reedus is like reviewing these tapes, and it goes back to when he's suffocating, and it shows that Cartwright was just kind of letting it happen and just standing there with the box cutter in his hand going like, what do I do? Because there's this whole thing where like only one of them is probably making it out of this. They're trying to make it so both of them are surviving, but it's not looking like that's going to be the case. So he finds out that Cartwright almost tried to kill him, basically. So Cartwright comes back. Norman Reedus doesn't allow him back in the bunker. He locks it. And Norman Reedus has this gun they found on a dead body, like close to the one of the tunnels that lead to the access points between the bunkers. So he has a gun now. He's looking like full Daryl Dixon, pretty much. And Cartwright breaks back into the original bunker. They kind of do this cat and mouse game where they look around for each other, or Norman Reedus is looking for Cartwright. Cartwright argues with his dead wife. Norman Reedus finds out the truth that his dead wife is one of the scientists in cryosleep, so he has a vested interest in keeping her alive. Norman Reedus ends up shooting Cartwright. Cartwright scurries away. Cartwright gets this morphine cocktail that they were going to use to kill the scientists in the beginning to take their tube, and uses it on Norman Reedus. Norman Reedus kind of accepts death because all of his family is dead, and he kind of finds out that Cartwright has a wife and no one's making it out of this. And I mean, he was pretty much dead anyway as soon as the syringe hit his arm and injected the stuff in there. The big thing is he chose not to shoot Cartwright after all that. He knew he was dying, and he just decided to let Cartwright live after everything. So Norman Reedus dies. About 20-30 years go by, and his wife, or Cartwright's wife, finally wakes up, and they have a reunion, and that's it. That's the entire movie. If I had to say anything good about this, it's that the acting wasn't that bad. Norman Reedus, and I think the guy's name is like Digimon or something, had actually really good chemistry as these like maintenance buddies. This aspect of claustrophobia and being so deep underground was actually pretty terrifying at times, but it could have been done a lot better, unfortunately. And the story, while not like super exciting or anything, it was at least like well structured, coherent. this was a budget movie, and I don't mind budget movies or low budget movies as long as they're good and they creatively use what they have. So this makes for a fine character piece, but outside of that, it's nothing more, and it's just ends up being really boring. Tune in next time. I'm gonna be sitting in like a bucket, and I'm just gonna get, you know, hoisted down and just go to the bottom of the well, and it's probably going to be like 300 miles long, and I'm going to see what's at the bottom, and I'm going to pull it up, and we're going to see for ourselves what's really down there. Yeah, bye.